And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Allan Hoss, who writes, "Hey, John and Rob, a lot of people have been talking about Squid Games on Netflix, and we've been talking about it around here lately too. And I saw that you watched it recently too, so I decided to give it a shot, and I really liked it. I didn't realize just how many people are watching it though, because I just read that Netflix is saying it is about to become the biggest and most popular show ever in the history of Netflix. Is that right? How can it be bigger than Daredevil or The Crown?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Allan Hoss. And yeah, listen, Rob, couldn't have been any more than 2 weeks ago that somebody wrote, maybe even just a week ago, that somebody wrote in and said, "Hey, John, you've been watching Squid Game." And I'm like, I've never even heard of this. What's Squid Game? I don't know what Squid Game is. And here we are 1 week later talking about this show maybe being the number one show of all time on Netflix. Now, let me back up a second. This is a really good show. I've enjoyed it a lot. Now, I don't think it's like the greatest thing in the world right now. Like, some people are like obsessed with this show, Rob. Some people just think this is like the greatest show out there right now.
It looks pretty great.
It's pretty damn good. I binged all 9 episodes in 3 days. I had a really good time with it. I don't think it's like the best thing in the world, but I really enjoyed it. It's really quite solid. And with the people writing into the show and talking about the show here, I knew there's a bunch of people watching it. But then when I opened up Netflix the other day and I saw it at number 1 on Netflix, I'm like, wow, I didn't know it was that popular. But Rob, when you start talking about the all-time biggest shows on Netflix, like, I would think shows like The Crown, which just won all the Emmys, House of Cards, which really got the original programming of Netflix really going. I think of shows like the Marvel stuff on Netflix, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Punisher. You think of these things. I was shocked a couple of weeks ago to hear that Bridgerton was now the number one all-time biggest show ever on Netflix, bigger than all the other ones. I was really surprised to hear that, but hey, there you go. But yeah, you read that right. It's sounding like, according to Netflix, they're anticipating now that Squid Game is going to become the all-time number one show in the history of Netflix. This comes to us from the folks over at IndieWire, who write the following. As reported by Variety, Sandros, that's the head of stuff over there at Netflix, said that high-concept Korean survival drama Squid Game, which premiered September 17th, has a very big chance of becoming the biggest Netflix show ever and currently ranks as the number one show worldwide on the service. We did not see that coming in terms of its global popularity, Sandros said. And listen, even when I started watching the show, Rob, I liked it, and I'm binging it, I didn't see this coming. Because, Rob, in many ways, it's we talked about this before. It's basically, it obviously takes a lot of influence from Battle Royale. It obviously takes a lot of influence from like a Hunger Games, which also took a lot of influence from Battle Royale and things like that too. But the number one show on Netflix all time? Rob, you've seen like people talking about this. What do you think the appeal is that has made this thing like the number one global phenomenon right now? What is it about this thing?
Well, I watched the trailer, and obviously it's suitably bonkers. And obviously Netflix has more subscribers than they've ever had before. They've got a worldwide audience. And I think that if people reacted to it the way I reacted to it, and I think they would, it kind of has this weird, irresistible premise that you kind of have to see. And it's so different from what everybody else, like, how many times can you binge Bridgerton or The Crown or whatever your favorite, like, I just finished Sex Education, which I like, but nothing else. And I haven't seen Squid Game, but it definitely looks new and unusual. So, and who doesn't like the Hunger Games and Battle Royale?
Well, look, there are two things, though, to keep into consideration, though, when hearing it becoming the all-time number one show. One of the things you just pointed out, which is Netflix today. I mean, this sounds like a no-brainer, but you got to consider it. Netflix today has more subscribers than it's ever had before. More people have Netflix today than at any other time in history. And tomorrow, more people will have Netflix than at any other time in history. So number one, the one advantage that Squid Game has is that it does have a much bigger Netflix base to be the biggest show that it's ever had. That's number one. The second thing is this, and Rob, we've had to talk about this a couple of times. A little while ago, Netflix introduced a very controversial new practice, which they used to define a view one way, but now they define a view very differently. If you turn on Squid Game for 2 minutes and 1 second, and then think this is crap after just 2 minutes and go away from it, they still count that as a view. They never used to do that. They didn't used to do that. It used to be, I can't remember how long the watch time had to be to count as an actual view. But now it's only 2 minutes. So you could literally hit start, run to the kitchen to grab your drink, come back, see it for 5 seconds, but it's been playing for 2 minutes, and think, oh, this is terrible, and then click away from it. It counts as a view. Now, I'm not trying to take anything away. I'm not trying to take anything away from what an absolutely momentous accomplishment it would be for Squid Game to become the #1 all-time show on Netflix, which it looks like it's about to be. I'm just saying that if you're wondering how on earth did this happen? Well, it happened because there's more Netflix viewers than ever, and also they changed their definition of what a view meant, so that played. But again, not taking anything away from it, this would be insane if it breaks this record. When you consider all the stuff that's been on Netflix and how many people watch it, to be the show that is the biggest of all time, especially one that a week and a half ago, Rob, I never even knew existed. I didn't even know this thing existed a week and a half ago. And here we are talking about being the platform's #1 show of all time. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Have you guys been watching Squid Game? If so, what do you think? Are you surprised that this many people around the world are watching it? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.